I have two scales here on the screen. I have a C major scale and an A minor scale. C major's in treble clef, A minor's in the bass clef. And these two scales are what are called relatives of each other. What relates them is their key signature. They share the exact same notes, they just begin on a different pitch. C starts on C, A starts on A, but both of them are void of sharps or flats. There are 7 notes in a diatonic scale. Major and minor are what are considered diatonic scales. And C is scale degree number 1. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then C we've already labeled as 1, so that's why this is not 8. Once we start repeating, we just go back to what we numbered them previously. And I marked the half steps with these little tent markings. And the half steps are always between the same pitches, but those half steps occur in different places on these two different scales. It's always between E and F and B and C when we're in C major, or in A minor, same thing, B and C, E and F. And let's start with the major scale. Let's look a little bit more in depth to major scale. Major scales are always set up with the same pattern of whole steps and half steps. It goes whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So again, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. There's 2 sets of half steps in each major scale. Same thing is true of minor scales, but minor's a little bit more complicated because there are some variations on the minor scale. There's 3 types of them. We're going to start with the easiest type, which is natural minor. So this particular minor that we have here is a natural minor. It's called natural minor because it's the naturally occurring form of this scale. It matches the key signature exactly. In a natural minor scale, the half steps occur between scale degrees 2 and 3 and 5 and 6. And that's good to remember, but if you understand the way that these scales relate to each other, you can always figure that out. A natural minor scale is like starting on a major scale but down 2 notes. So instead of starting on C, you start on A. So if I start on A, you can hear the majorness of this scale. I hope you can hear this. From C to C. Let me start on C again. And then the minor scale has a little bit of a darker quality. Okay. So it's same series of notes, just starting in a different place. You get a little bit of a different feel. I'm going to change this type of minor scale to harmonic minor, a very common variation of minor which happens in harmonies. And to turn this into a harmonic minor scale, I only need to change 1 note, and that's the 7th scale degree. In a harmonic minor scale, it's just like a natural minor, except the 7th scale degree is raised by a half step. So instead of G natural, it's G sharp. And that gives this scale a little bit of an exotic sort of sound due to the augmented second that is created when we raise the G to a G sharp. Okay, so that's a harmonic minor scale. And then the most common type of minor scale, and the most complicated, is the melodic minor scale. And you won't be able to see the whole thing right now. I'll put it up in just a second. The melodic minor scale is almost the same as a harmonic minor scale on the way up. Only instead of this being scale degree number 6 being an F natural, it's an F sharp. So 6 and 7 are raised instead of just 7. And that means that this is no longer a half step. The half step is now, actually I should have put this in the harmonic minor, is here now. Okay, melodic minor is different on the way up than it is on the way down. So on the way up, 6 and 7 are raised, and that has to do with what direction they're going. When a minor scale is ascending, its goal is to get from 5 to 1, or at least when it's ascending from 5 to 1. These 2 notes are aiming towards the 1. So if I just play these last 4 notes, you can hear how it sounds like it's done when we get to the 1. But if I do the opposite and start with 1 and go down to 5 with the same notes, it sounds a little funny. It sounds major. And it doesn't sound minor anymore. So let me play all the way through the ascending melodic minor. Still sounds minor, but we have that leading sort of quality. And then if I turn these back into their naturals on the way down, and I'm going to place this where it's supposed to be. Now it sounds right. So on the way down, it's natural minor, and on the way up, 6 and 7 are raised. Now let's talk about key signatures a little bit. I'm going to get rid of my minor scale. We're going to look at this, get rid of that. If I raise these all by a step, the series of whole steps and half steps don't exist in the same way. It's not whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half like it was before if I keep the same key signature. Sounds a little bit funny because this is something called a D-Dorian scale. It's no longer major just by moving them up. It's because some of the notes moved half steps, some of them moved whole steps. So in order to maintain the structure of whole steps and half steps, we need to change the key signature here to D major. The key signature for D major, it thinks that I want that to be a flat. Let me do that again and clean that up a little bit. There we go. Now we have a D major scale. In order to maintain that whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, we have to have an F sharp and a C sharp. I'm not going to get too in depth with the key signatures in this video. There will be a separate key signatures video. But that's one of the reasons why these notes have to change in the key signature. Now it sounds like a major scale. And then if I do the same thing, if I take this whole scale and move it down 2 steps, this is now a B minor scale. More specifically, it's a natural minor scale because it is the naturally occurring scale that matches the key signature.